Hey, this is for you if you are in this journey with me where we are becoming our better self, where we are working to become all that we believe God wants us to be. This is for you. Really, what we need to be doing this time is to be examining ourselves to understand who we are right now, right? Who we are, the version of ourselves, who we are. And I feel one of the key things that we must know, and I've talked about this severally, one of the key things that we must be getting into is this thing called self awareness. And in as much as this is a word a lot of you are used to, a lot or a word that you may be familiar with, a lot of us are not self aware. And I'll be talking about this very briefly. So, one of the things I want us to start doing, one of the things I want to believe will help us in this self awareness is taking our time to observe ourselves, taking our time to observe what are your proclivities, what are the things that you are more likely to do than not, what are the things that you are disposed to. And I know people like me, people who self retrospect a lot. We are well aware of these things and we have done this exercise severally. We just need some objectivity in learning how to do it. We need to learn how to do it properly. But for the hyper super extrovert out there, it's a study you need to begin to learn how to do, to understand what are the things I am more likely to do. Now, for those of you who have been following me, you know we are reading the book of we are reading the book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. We've been reading it since this month, and if you are not yet in my Women in Leadership Circle, I'll be talking about the book in phases there. But there is this wonderful thing called pointing and calling. I work in the healthcare sector, so this is something we do every now and then. Pointing and calling, according to the book, is something you do where you observe what exactly you are doing and call it out. E.g., you wake up in the morning, you pick up your phone, you read your Bible, maybe you do a little bit of social media, you go to the bathroom, right? You take your bath. Calling out the things you do subconsciously draws your attention to those things. So, where I will take it a bit further is don't just, just call out things. Take out time to journal them. Take out time to journal the things that you do. At the end of the day, at the end of every 3 or 4 hour period, take out time to journal. What have I spent my time doing today? I remember one um diet coach I worked with. The first thing she did with me is to ask me to write down every single thing that went into my mouth. That's a version of pointing and calling. So you can do pointing and calling in any and every area of your life, really. You can say, what did I spend the last 2 hours doing? You can say, what did I spend the last 4 hours doing? And you can write it down in batches of 30 minutes. Now, after you have done this, it gives you a fair idea of how you spend your time. It gives you an idea of what are the things you do. Another area you can do pointing and calling are in your emotional journal. How did I feel today? So this is the area that, yeah, it's a woman's thing, right? But everybody really, because we are trying to figure out who are we, what are the things that tick us off, what are the things that offend us, what are the things that makes us happy, what are the things that keeps us having a great day. And so you want to journal, how did I feel today? Or when you were angry, you want to journal, what upsets me, what about the circumstance? What about what was said offended me? And why exactly did it offend me? And so pointing and calling is something I feel we all can engage in, depending on the area you're trying to change. The skill in this is when you do it, it's not the time to judge yourself. And that was what I was saying earlier when I said people that have done this a lot of times. I have done this a lot of times, but I have done it incorrectly, in that I do it a lot and I judge myself on the process. That's not the idea. When you do this exercise, you are to just observe and say, it's interesting. It's interesting that you don't eat all day, and in the last 3 hours of the day you binge eat. It's interesting to note. It's interesting to note that you spend this amount of hours on social media. It's interesting to note. So you are not doing this exercise in order to judge yourself. You are just observing who you are. You are observing your proclivities. You are observing your disposition, the things that you have a tendency to do. You are observing to learn yourself. Because at the end of the day, talking about habits, we all have some habits. We all have things that we do. We do them subconsciously, and I'm going to explain how you are going to use this material, this thing that you have found out about yourself. So after you have taken a note in observing yourself, after you have taken notes, after you have journaled, the next thing you want to do is to start asking, or to start writing out what your desired self would do. Now you have taken down notes on what you do, what you currently do. And one thing I would like to put in here is that our habits actually protect us. Our habits are the brain's mechanism to keep us satisfied, to keep us rolling, to keep us out of trouble. Because it's just like you have an issue, you had a situation, and you dealt with it in a certain way. So what your habit does is it observes the way you dealt with that problem. Did it make you happy? If it made you happy, your brain is going to record what had just gone on and say, next time when we have this problem, this is exactly how we are going to approach it. We are going to take care of it in this manner. And that is what a habit is. So every habit is there really to protect you. The last time you were pressed for cash, what did you do? If the last time you were pressed for cash, you said, God, I know you will take care of this, and you prayed about it, and you remained sensitive to ways in which God was going to take care of it. If that thing came true and you got satisfied, the next time you have such a problem, your system is just going to go back to use that same way to solve it. If, however, the last time you had that problem, you said, who am I going to call? I'm going to call number one, number two. If number two doesn't go through, number three will go through. At the end of number four, you could solve that problem. But you know what? Your brain is going to code that. And when we have a problem, this is how we are going to go about it. So your habits come around to take care of you. Your habits come around to protect you. That's what your habits do. And so when you observe that, it tells you who you are as at this time T. And the way I like to look at it is the version of myself that I am now. And then we move on to who is my desired self. I'm going to give you an example in this video. But the exercise is really to move on and to say, who is this my desired self, and what are the things she does? How does she take care of her problems? What are her habits? And for me, really, the first thing that occurred to me was I have this desired identity. In fact, I believe that I am that lady that is at the top of her field, right? She is the best in her career in what she does. She has businesses, and she has successful businesses. This is the persona. And remember that you can have, different versions of your identity. This is the identity I have as a career woman. The person at the top of her career, the person delivering the best in her career, the person leading a great, fantastic team, the person who business cases are written about. That's the persona I aspire to. Now I have a different persona when it comes to my family, when it comes to my kids, right? That's it. Those are different angles of my persona. Spiritually, I have a different persona of leading, women, exactly what I'm doing here. So I just want to talk about this lady this lady who chops her field, this lady who is excellent at delivering, what she says she's going to deliver, who leads teams, who leads successful teams, and who, has this businesses that are successful. What does she do? This lady is careful with her time. Yeah. If you're going to be that kind of lady, she uses her time judiciously. She recognizes her time as a gift and she uses it as such. She doesn't waste time. She doesn't idle away on social media. That's not what she does. She delivers on her tasks. This lady does her homework. Like, she sees to the minutest of details of things. She leads her team. She drives her team. Anybody who works with her has a consciousness of the work to be done. They deliver on the work. They deliver on the results. That's the kind of person she is. This lady is also the kind of person that is well read, very educated kind of lady. She takes courses, like, because there are courses to take. Excuse me. Because there are courses to take, she just takes courses. She is well read. She is educated to the teeth. That's the kind of person this lady is. This lady also attends conferences. Remember, she is an authority. She's an authority in her field. So she doesn't just attend conferences, she presents. Yeah, that's what she does. She presents. She goes to these conferences and she presents at these conferences. She takes topics, she does her work, and she comes out and she teaches. She does not just stay by herself. She mixes with the other leaders in that field. So now that I know who this lady is and I know the kind of thing she does, I want to put them on one side of the row. And I want to now start to imagine, what does she do from waking up to the time she gets to work, to the time she closes from work. She holds meetings. She doesn't shy away from meetings. She doesn't get tired at the thought of meetings, right? And when she goes to the meetings, she tries, because she uses time well. So she tries to keep it straight to the point. She tries to keep it short. She tries to keep her meetings focused. She takes action points. These are the things I'm going to put down about this lady in her day-to-day activity. Now, in my day-to-day activity, I may observe that I find myself chasing down trivia. I may observe that I spend my days, following up on things that this other lady should have delegated. So you want to imagine, you have to know, you have to understand who this desired self is, and then you have to look at where you are. And the reason is not to condemn. The reason is also not to praise. The reason is to begin to do the things that your desired self would do. And that's the change right there. Begin to pick out things from her itinerary. Begin to pick out things from her calendar. Begin to pick out things that she would do. This year, for example, that lady is going to take a course. This year is not going to end that she does not take a course or another degree. And so I have to review, what am I doing now? Right? And I have to start I have to start doing like this lady would do. And this is the journey of morphing into your desired self. It's not hard, but it requires intentionality. And for me, the key is self-awareness. You just need to be aware of what you are doing. To find out who you are now, just look at what you are doing. What you are doing is a testament to who you are. So observing start observing and then take note of what your desired self wants to do, and then start closing that gap. Very simple, right? This is it today. For those of you who don't know, women in leadership is grooming women who believe that they have been called to lead, women in career and women in business who believe that they are the ones who should lead the pack. Okay, it's for women of faith, it's for women who believe in God, who believe that they should be the ones leading the pack. I am providing resources for you to enable you achieve that desire. This month and hopefully next month, we are reading the book Atomic Habits. by James Clear. Thank you very much for watching. See you at my next video.